Yeah, I want to do that too. The meeting will come to order. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Coffeyville City Commission meeting for Tuesday, September 27th, 2016. Tonight's invocation will be conducted by Dr. Dean McNamara of the First Baptist Church. After the invocation, please remain standing. So everybody please stand. I forgot to say that. Everybody stand and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag.
Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for your love. We thank you for our city. We thank you for all who faithfully serve, our commissioners, our mayor, all of our city officials, and especially, Lord, all of our police and fire department officials. Lord, we ask you to keep us safe when times of trouble come. And Lord, may we agree to disagree in love with each other and ask you, Lord, to bless us as we conduct these meetings. Lord, we thank you for what you've given us. Now bless us and bless all those who live in Coffeyville and bless those especially who serve our city. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Next item on the agenda is to review the agenda. I've reviewed the agenda and I want to move a certain part of the agenda, which is item number G, with the consent of the rest of the commissioners, which is comments from the public. I'm going to move item number G from its current location to behind item number 8, or actually before item number 8, which is city manager's report. Do I have a consent from the commission?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, we'll move that based upon consent of the commission. Next item of business will be consent agenda items, which are number 1, City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. Number 2, 2016 appropriation ordinance number AO-16-18 in the amount of $5,048,694.89. Number 3, 2016 appropriation ordinance AO-16-18A in the amount of $255 to Taylor Crane. Do I have any discussion or amending to the minutes? Seeing none, do I have any discussion or any type of discussion on appropriation ordinance AO-16-18 or AO-16-18A?
I guess just what was 18A, what was that work for?
18A is a $255 expense to Taylor Crane and Rigging.
Okay. You know what the work was?
Do we know what the work was?
Mm-hmm. Did I not get it? I may have picked up the department codings instead of that. See, that's where it should be, right there. I looked at it and it was a repair. It was a repair on a vehicle, but I don't have the specifics.
So it was just a repair on a vehicle? It was a repair on a vehicle? City vehicle? It was a repair on a city vehicle? Okay. I just,
Jim, are you aware of what that expenditure is?
My department, I'm not aware of anything.
Okay.
Probably the fire department, I believe, it's gonna be on one of our fire trucks.
Is that on the pumper?
Yes,
Okay.
Any further discussion?
no.
This is an ordinance, so I'll pull the commission. The mayor votes in favor of the entire package. Commissioner Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Cashler,
Aye.
Commissioner Martin. Motion passes. Moving on to regular agenda items. Tonight, we have a special honor of swearing in two new public servants for the city of Coffeyville. One of them being a new police officer, Dakota Hill. And the second will be new Fire Chief Bob Roski. We'll proceed with police officer swearing in. I'd like to ask Dakota Hill to come forward, along with Chief Bromley. Raise your right hand, please. Turn around and face that direction. On my honor, I will never betray my badge,
On my honor, I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Kansas,
and of the state of Kansas,
my community,
my community,
and the agency I serve.
and the agency I serve.
Congratulations.
Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill.
Yeah. Let him know you're there.
Our next swearing-in ceremony will be new Fire Chief Robert Rodsky. Could you please step forward, please? Okay, yours is a long one, so we're going to go slow. All right. I, Robert Rodsky, do hereby solemnly swear
I, Robert Roski, do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the laws and ordinance of the City of Coffeyville.
the laws and ordinances of the City of Coffeyville.
I will obey the rules and regulations of the Coffeyville Fire Department,
I will obey the rules and regulations of the Coffeyville Fire Department,
and I will discharge the duties of my office as Fire Chief
and I will discharge the duties of my office as Fire Chief
according to the best of my knowledge and ability.
according to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Congratulations to those guys. It's a great honor to be able to do that. I'm sure it's a great honor for them as well. Moving on to old business tonight, ordinance number S-16-11, a second reading of an ordinance to authorize a levy of 1/2 cent citywide retailer sales tax, which is the 2016 healthcare sales tax. No changes have been made to this since our first reading. Is there any discussion on this item?
No.
No discussion. This is ordinance. I will poll the commission. The mayor votes in favor. Commissioner Bauer?
Aye.
Commissioner Castler?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
This is an ordinance that we're required to have a motion and a second.
I second.
I motioned it.
I second.
Commissioner Bauer?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Moving on. Resolution number R-16-117, a resolution to execute an agreement with Jeff Graham Construction to replace the office area roof on the Recreation Center. The motion was tabled last meeting by myself to seek additional information. I move that we remove the item from the table and bring it back on the agenda. That's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No opposing, the motion carries. Back on the agenda. I move that we approve resolution number R-16-117, which is resolution for the roof at the Recreation Center. Do I have any discussion on this item?
No.
Discussion? All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. Moving on. New business. Resolution number R-16-118, a resolution to approve a license agreement with Zio Group LLC for the use of city right-of-ways for construction of a fiber optic line. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Zayo Group contacted the city when it became apparent that their trunk line was going to need part of our city right-of-way to be completed. They are actually constructing a fiber optic line that goes all the way from Dallas, Texas to Omaha, Nebraska. This section is from Tulsa to Kansas City. There's 2 spots where they cross the city limit lines and are on either city right-of-way or city property. Those 2 are in the agenda packet. Mr. Phillips with Zayo Group is in the audience if you have any questions for him. This license agreement is essentially very much like the franchise agreements where there's a yearly fee for the amount of, based off the length of fiber in the right-of-way. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion on this item?
I've got a question. I'm not opposed to this, but what I'd like to know, I think it's more Mr. Felix's department, is this is going to be good for us in the future, I'm guessing, to have fiber optic this close?
I have a conversation scheduled tomorrow with them.
That's all I got.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
No more discussion. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you. Resolution number R-16-119, a resolution to purchase an excavator or trailer for the Stormwater Department. Public Works Director Jim Bradshaw will make comments. Jim?
Mayor, Commissioners, staff prepared specifications for a new compact excavator complete with trailer. Specs were mailed out and posted on the city's website on August 25th, 2016. Sealed bids were received and opened on September the 14th, 2016. 2 bids were received. Staff, after reviewing the 2 bids received, determined that the apparent low bidder, which was Kubota Center of Bartlesville, Oklahoma, in amount of $71,000, $829 did not fully meet specifications. So staff contacted the dealer, and the dealer did not bid a machine with a power tilt accessory and a grading bucket. And they replied through email that they would need to outsource that requirement, and it would be in excess of $10,000 to do. So the Kubota dealer withdrew their bid, and attached in my staff report is a copy of that email received. And that left the bid from White Star Machinery and Supply of Wichita, Kansas, in the amount of $76,800, which did meet all specifications. Staff recommends the purchase of one new Bobcat compact excavator with new equipment trailer from White Star Machinery and Supply of Wichita, Kansas, in an amount not to exceed $76,800. Try to answer any questions you might have.
Discussion on this item?
So we're replacing a backhoe, correct?
We are purchasing another piece of equipment. The existing equipment that it will be replacing will be transferred to the cemetery to
Okay.
be utilized there.
And I guess another question, did we look at a lease versus buy option to do something like this? I don't know if this is something we've explored in the past, but it keeps assets off the books and can lower our overheads a little bit if we look at those kind of options. And a lot of times those come with extended warranties and service contracts that buying one outright doesn't always take into account.
We had looked at this several years ago through Case and actually brought it to the commission. It was several years back. Case had a replacement set up where you bought a piece of equipment outright, and every other year you could trade it out for a new piece of equipment. They couldn't justify buying the equipment outright and trading it in that soon.
Right.
We basically keep equipment and keep passing it down to the other departments that can use it until we get full use out of it.
Okay.
And that's what will happen with the one that we're replacing now.
Okay.
So that's why we haven't looked into that.
Have we ever looked at actually leasing equipment?
Versus buying it?
I have not personally.
Because I know in other things that I do, that is an option that we look at. And a lot of times it works out in our best interest to lease a piece of equipment rather than purchase the piece of equipment because of all the maintenance and things like that go along with those pieces of equipment to keep them functioning at 100%.
Like I say, it's been several years since I looked at it, and that was back whenever we were doing a backhoe purchase. It's probably been at least 10, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
the last time I'd looked into it.
I would like to know what other options are available. I mean, it may be beneficial to us in the long run.
There are things we can look at. The problem is not being able to, like Jim,
You're not-
and be able to pass that equipment on
Sure.
to other departments.
Sure.
Basically, what
understand.
this is doing is, this is putting a piece of equipment in a department that's funded out of general fund.
Yeah.
And we actually had a piece of equipment budgeted there for the last couple of years. We were able to remove that out of the general fund budget. Being stormwater is a funded utility, they are actually able to buy it and pass that other piece of equipment down, so.
Would it be a big deal just to check, just out of curiosity?
So we can absolutely check.
I mean, you don't need it tomorrow, I guess, right?
No, it also takes out the bidding process.
It does.
I'm not
I mean,
opposed,
not every-
I'm just curious.
No, you're right. Not every place will do
Every
that.
equipment dealer, not every one of them has rental option. or
Right.
leasing option.
Yep.
Two things. First of all, this particular item is budgeted item.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
In the stormwater utility, yes.
From, I can see where Commissioner Bauer's coming from. Would it be acceptable that we pass this ordinance and have city staff look into a lease option on various types of equipment and come back and give us a presentation on the pros and cons of leasing versus buying?
Since this is budgeted, I mean, I'm not opposed to that, and I know this is we kind of went off in left field a little bit on this one. I know that wasn't a question you were expecting, so, I mean, like I said, I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but I think it would be in our best interest of something we should explore for the future purchases of equipment.
My question is I don't know a whole lot about leasing construction equipment, so to speak. So therefore, before I would even entertain the idea of leasing something, I'd like to at least have a presentation and know the pros and cons
Sure.
of one way versus the other, because if quite frankly, if someone brought a item to the table and said, you know, it's in our best interest to lease this piece of equipment, my first question is going to be why, and then they're going to have to make the presentation anyway. So I just like to have the presentation.
I do know your normal wear items you're responsible for, like
Tires,
batteries,
things
like that.
whether it be tracks, adjustments on the tracks, sprockets, that type of stuff. I do know that you'd be responsible for that, and that's your items that they know are going to wear because that's what you're using. So they're not going to cover them under a lease.
Right.
So
I've had some experience on smaller equipment like skid steers, and more common, something that's going to be a smaller item and more likely just used in the one department and not passed down in perpetuity. But in the future, we'll explore that option with every piece of equipment, and when it's practical
Yep.
to look at that.
I just think it's something to look at, something a little different than what maybe we've done in the past, and
Right.
And there's been times we've asked dealers if they've had something that somebody has had out for rental or lease, that what's available for them to bid. But, this piece of equipment like this, none of them had anything available. So
Yeah.
it's something that normally once somebody gets, they keep it. It's a piece of equipment that's pretty versatile. You can use it for about anything. So
Any further discussion on resolution number R16-119?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Motion has been made by Commissioner Castler and seconded by the mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes unanimous. Resolution number R-16-120. Resolution to issue a work order to Sterling Construction for painting and deck repairs for the Aquatic Center. Public Works Deputy Director Jim Bradshaw will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioner, on this item, staff informed the commission during the budget process that the Aquatic Center pools needed to be painted and some repair work needed to be done prior to the painting. Staff notified a total of 8 contractors and informed them of the project. We also informed them that in order for them to submit a quote, they must schedule an on-site visit to the facility so staff could cover the scope of work. We also set a cutoff date for the on-site visits, was set at September the 12th, 2016. A total of 4 contractors accepted and scheduled appointments to visit the Aquatic Center. 3 contractors submitted quotes. Attached are the quotes received. After review of the quotes, it was determined that Sterling Construction of Kansas City, Missouri submitted the low quote. Staff recommends approval to enter in an agreement with Sterling Construction for an amount not to exceed $54,100 for painting and repairs at the Aquatic Center. Try to answer any questions you might have on this also.
Discussion on this item.
So, as I was looking through the quotes, the Who Are, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, Who Are Construction, Huwar?
Yes, they did an on-site visit also.
Yeah, it seems like their
They
quote
did a
is pretty
thorough-
detailed.
Yes, and they did. I mean, they basically put all the measurements down of all the cracks, the seams that we talked to all the contractors about. It was a thorough.
Yeah.
And the budget number we used during the budget was $100,000 for the repairs.
And I know that they came in considerably higher than the rest.
Yes.
But when we look at the Sterling Construction that we're proposing we go with, I want to say I'd say they had 15 or 16 line items in detail. And
Yes.
And Sterling has 6, which are pretty high level when you look at the details. My concern is making sure that what we get is what we want.
Yeah, and like I say, Sterling basically covered as miscellaneous concrete removal and replacing as discussed. And that's what we did with all the contractors.
Yeah.
We had all the items that we wanted to be addressed on the pool deck, not only the pool itself, but everything from the ridge of the pool out into the pool deck. And that's the miscellaneous concrete removal and the replacing as discussed. And that's why we made sure the contractors came on site.
Right.
We could have sent out a generic paint spec to bid the painting, and then all this other would have been change orders that we'd have had to deal with. And that was the purpose of having them come in to try to eliminate any change orders that might come up as the project got started.
So like I said, I guess my biggest concern is making sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Yes, and that's why we had him come on site. Like I say, we had 4, and after one of them decided not to bid after he came down and did the visit. So it was more than what he thought he could handle within the time period we were looking at.
All right.
So,
Any more discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries by unanimous decision.
thank you.
Resolution, the next one, next 3 resolutions will be commented on by Deputy Director Mike Shook in reference to the electric utility.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Just, do we want to run all these one after another?
We did put them all together.
Let's take these, let's just run one right after another.
Okay.
That way, instead of breaking, we'll do them all at once, because they all pertain to the same.
The first 2 pertain to the new generation project. The third one pertains to an item at the existing steam plant.
First 2, we'll take up resolution number R-16-121, a resolution to execute change order number 04 to Dorothy Steele for electric utility, and resolution number R-16-122, a resolution to execute a change order number 7 with CCC Group for the electric utility.
Mayor and Commissioners, this first item is a change order that represents some engineering design changes made to the structural steel contract. There were changes made to the charge air ducts, which included some additional materials, some fabrication, some detailing and galvanizing. Burns McDonnell have reviewed this change order, as well as staff, and staff recommends the approval and authorization of change order number 4 to Doherty Steel in the amount of $4,699. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Any discussion on that one, gentlemen?
No.
Resolution number R-16-122.
This change order is for the electrical installation contract. This is probably the second to the last change order that we'll have with the electrical installation contract. This one includes some engineering design changes, some additional bus duct support, some additional data drops in the control room admin area, adding some e-stops to the starting air compressors, an installation of a battery monitoring system, and some additional UPS circuits in the communications room. Therefore, staff recommends the approval and authorization of change order number 7 to CCC Group for the electrical installation contract in the amount of $44,360.92.
Discussion on this item, gentlemen?
No.
Okay, one question. One question, 2 parts. With these change orders, where are we at budget-wise?
On this particular contract, with the original contingency figured in, with this next to last change order, we were around $200,000 under budget on this item.
Okay. And time frame?
We're still basically ahead of schedule and still under budget overall.
Okay. Additional questions or comments, discussion on this item?
No.
Seeing none, I'll make the motion to pass resolution number R-16-121 and resolution number R-16-122. I made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes, unanimous decision. Moving on to the next item.
Mayor, Commissioners, this item represents a emergent repair on boiler feed pump number 1 that's associated with boiler 4, unit 7 at the existing steam plant. On June 26 at 8:30 a.m., this boiler feed pump failed. Upon failure of this feed pump, Ruhr Pumping out of Tulsa, Oklahoma was called in for an on-site inspection, which resulted in a decision to remove this pump from service, have the pump sent to Tulsa, have it disassembled, cleaned, and inspected. The inspection results found an internal gasket failure, excessive wear on the impeller rings, bearings, and thrust assembly, thus allowing us not to put this pump back into service. Because of the age of this pump, some of the parts had to be manufactured. The unit overall, Unit 7, was derated to 60%, which is about 21 megawatts, reducing capacity payment. This was, as I mentioned, treated as an emergent repair in order to have the pump repaired and return Unit 7 to full availability and capacity as soon as possible. Therefore, staff recommends the mayor be authorized to enter into an agreement with Ruhr Pumping for repairs for boiler feed pump number 1 in the amount not to exceed $52,744. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Discussion on this item, gentlemen. I move to approve resolution number R-16-123. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries based upon unanimous decision.
Thank you, Mayor.
Resolution, thank you. Resolution number R-16-124, a resolution to execute an employment agreement with City of Coffeyville with City Manager Kendall Francis. City Attorney Paul Kreitz will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, for your consideration this evening is an agreement with Mr. Francis to continue to serve as city manager that you negotiated with him previously. This agreement very much resembles the existing agreement that the city has with Mr. Francis. The significant changes are that he would be going from an indefinite term to a 2-year term, with the term commencing as of September 1st of 2016 and ending as of August 31st of 2018. There's a modest salary increase, and there's an increase of his severance pay in case of termination or separation, going from 3 months of severance pay to 4 months of severance pay. Be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Discussion on this item, gentlemen. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor of this motion or resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Based upon the changes that I made earlier, actually the commission made earlier, to move the comments from the public to this portion of the meeting, I'd ask that anyone that wants to address the commission, please feel free to come to the podium, address the commission by indicating who you are and where you live. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes to be respectful of other people who might want to speak.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Jim Faulkner, 1014 West 3rd. Just wanted to pass along a compliment. We've got Dalton Days coming up, and played a round of golf up at the course today up at Hillcrest, and it really looks nice. And that should, if we've got some visitors that are coming in want to play a round of golf, they'll be impressed. It looks good. Just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Faulkner.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Great, thank you.
any additional comments from the public?
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Jim Taylor. I live at 704 Spruce in Coffeyville. Fortunate enough to live in a house that the annual taxes are more than it costs to build. Mayor Williams and Commissioners, I'm having difficulty with the changing requirements and demands I'm receiving from the City of Coffeyville Engineering Department. I'm asking the Commission to please direct Thomas Osborne to ask the KDHE to inspect stormwater entry and exit from my property at 1801 Woodland, and to determine if the instructions, permits, approval, and participation by the City of Coffeyville in contributing material for the stabilization process that has been occurring under the direction of City of Coffeyville has been in compliance with regulations. In summary, I'm asking you, Mayor, and the Commission to direct Mr. Osborne to request jointly with the City of Coffeyville and myself to review what's happening on the stabilization project that we've been now involved in equally for the last 3 years.
Okay, I'll answer your statement by saying that I don't think it's appropriate for the commission to direct city staff to do anything. It's not the commission's position to direct city staff. City staff is directed by the city manager, and therefore we will not make any directions to city staff based upon that request.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll take it from there. Mayor Williams?
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, I'm not finished.
Okay,
I have another request.
okay.
I'm receiving reports from long-standing business clients that they have been directed by Thomas Osborne that they are no longer to deliver material to my location, regardless of the fact that they have to violate the terms of legal contracts they have with me to comply with his improper demands. I'm asking the Commission to request the State Attorney General to investigate the implications they are led to believe will be consequential to them if they do not submit to his demands. What I'm saying there is that my customers are being told they will suffer consequences if they do not change the delivery on the materials that they're contracted with me for. I'm asking that all the material that has been deposited on city property under this coercive activity be returned to me. At this point in time, it is approximately 250 truckloads of concrete, curbs, and pavement mixed with soil, and about 100,000 used paving bricks. Graham Construction has been ordered to not deliver to me the material that will be removed from the project on Wilshire, and it will add to the quantity I am seeking to be returned. I'm also asking for a list of all companies so directed by Mr. Osborne and what specific demands were made, verbal and written, and what concessions were made for the city to change procedures to absorb the costs that would be incurred to violate the conditions that were different than the terms of the contracts on awarding date.
Okay. Appreciate your discussion item there. I will again answer your question. My response, you directed that to me. The commissioners can respond however they choose, but my response is that you're laying basically a charge, or you're charging or possibly trying to implicate the city as to doing something wrong, so therefore I would direct you to have any more correspondence in reference to that issue with the city attorney, who is our legal representative. Do you guys have any further?
Nope.
I'll be happy to talk to you about it, but not here right now.
Okay, well, and that's what I'm here for, is the refusal for the commission to address this. And I'll be happy to do that, and we'll proceed and see that it gets done. But I wanted a statement for the commission that they would not address these two matters that I feel like they've participated in. Thank you.
I will note for the minutes that we did address the concerns. We directed the citizen to our legal counsel. Any more public comment from any citizens, please feel free to come up and address the commission.
on redirect from our prior speaker. I'm Charles Weed, 207 West New. I would like to know if he is paying proper impound and storage fees for all this material he's claiming. I realize that's an item for the city attorney, but I just want it put on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Weed. Any additional questions or comments from the public?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I have copies of what I just asked, and I'd like to give them to Cindy. They're available to all the commissioners, anyone else is interested.
Thank you. Have a good evening, sir.
You bet, thanks.
Any additional comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to city manager's report. Mr. Francis.
Mayor and Commissioners, first off, I'd like to say thank you for your continued confidence in me and the extension of my contract. I do appreciate that. First item is codification. I can sit here tonight and tell you that all codes have been reviewed and have the changes have been finalized and sent to MuniCode for them to compile. That being said, we are on their October delivery schedule, which means on or about the 31st October, we could expect them to be delivered back to us. However, we think that it's probably prudent if we have a work session prior to that so that we can review, summarize and review the changes that we are recommending and allow you some time to look through the changes that have been made, and that way we can move to approve those or have a consensus that they would be approved before those are a final product. So I would recommend Monday, October 17th, that an evening, preferably about as early as we can. I would say is about 6 o'clock in the evening to meet work schedules. But unless you have some objections, I would recommend that date that we would convene a special meeting to discuss it and review the changes.
I'm okay with it.
Say that day again.
Monday, October 17th.
I'm okay with that date.
I'll send something out a little bit more formal so you can get it on your calendars, but I've told staff to hold that night open and we can have a discussion about the changes that, and we will be sending you changes, redlined versions of what we have made to probably tomorrow or in the next day, that you can begin to review it before that date. As we're talking about some additional meetings and changes, the November 8th meeting is Election Day. That's the first meeting in November, and this building is a polling place. So I would recommend that we look to change that meeting date. And I guess I'm open for suggestions. Maybe just the Monday before that, the 7th, would be easy.
I'm sorry, we're on November?
Yes, the first meeting in November is November 8th, which is Election Day.
And the polls close at 7 while we're sitting here.
While we're sitting here.
I'm okay with the day before.
Yeah.
Look to make that change then to
The 7th of November.
Yes.
Yes, that would be,
Just regular time and
that would be
same bat time,
perfect.
same bat channel.
That's good for me.
Okay.
yeah, could you send us something along with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Information as well?
Okay, we'll start making that known. We had some good news as regards to our electric revenue bonds. Both S&P and Fitch Rating Services have reaffirmed our ratings for our electric revenue bonds. It's BBB plus for Fitch and BBB for S&P. So those we received those just, well, S&P just yesterday, I believe. make you aware that tomorrow, Coffeyville Resources is having their siren test, and in conjunction with that, they'll be having an emergency response drill at the same time. It'll be, I think it's scheduled for 9 a.m. to start the drill, 10 a.m. for the sirens. I know that they've made a lot of public notices about that, but there will be some activity around the refinery, just so everyone is aware of that. Following your direction from the last meeting, I have contacted the city leaders for the cities here in Montgomery County, as well as County Commissioner Larry McManus, about a joint meeting, and we have scheduled a lunch. Myself, Mickey Webb, Joel Pyle from Cherryvale, Fred Gress from Caney, and Commissioner McManus for October 3rd. And we're going to sit down as a group and start the discussion. It'll be kind of the first step in moving towards a county-wide meeting of all the elected officials, governing bodies. And as we discussed last time, groundbreaking for the new standalone is going to be Tuesday, November 1st at 4 p.m. And invitations will go out this week. So if you have specific people that you would like us to invite, if you could please email those to me so we can make certain that invitations are sent to them directly. We do have a
Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump.
It's going to be huge.
He may be busy, but we'll check.
He got time.
Just a reminder, our annual cleanup week will be October 10th through the 16th. Tree dump's going to be open every day from 9 to 6, Monday through Sunday. Just a reminder that we're not accepting tires, hazardous waste, prescription drugs, or contractor building materials. And if you need assistance and you're unable to transport your materials, if you would contact the Red Cross 251-1050 and make it known that you would need some assistance. I am putting together a group of volunteers for that Saturday the 15th to go around to those residences and pick up those items. So if you would like to volunteer, if you could call me directly in my office.
Saturday, October 15th.
Saturday, October 15th. It'd probably be 8 to noon. It'd be a morning. And my office number is 252-6163. And just a couple quick updates on the street projects. 9th Street, there's been a delay in the asphalt portion of the last section of the asphalt. The contractors are scheduled to be back on site the week of October 10th. Everything else is substantially completed. The sidewalks, curb and gutter. They're going through doing the punch list now on those items. But there was an issue being able to get asphalt, and contractors had to move off to a different job, so they will be back on site on the week of the 10th, and we expect it to take 1 to 2 days, possibly at most, to pour the remaining asphalt. And when that gets a little closer to time, there will be some notification to the people that will be affected along that street. And then, of course, it's a little ways down the road, but our joint meeting with the CRMC boards will be Tuesday, November 29th at 6 p.m., and I will send out a reminder of that as well. So, with that, I'd take questions.
When is the Montgomery County Action Council's golf?
It is Friday, October 7th.
October 7th.
Yeah.
At the Independence?
It is at Independence.
I know it was one that Marcus asked a couple weeks ago, but the bridge railing on Overlook, do we know where we're at on that? I know that there was some problems with the engineering portion of it when we talked about it last time, but there's still nothing there, and I've had people ask me about it. So
Yeah, there was a problem with the design. Thomas could probably speak to that a little bit more clearly.
There was an issue with how the plates to actually attach the new guardrail onto the deck were meeting up. They're actually hitting the flange, so we're doing a quick redesign. The bid opening, I believe, is, I want to say October 15th, Thursday, 2 o'clock.
13th, I believe.
13th.
Okay.
I don't have a calendar in front of me. But that will be that's the new date. I believe the new plans are out, so we're hoping to get on that really quick.
Was there also an issue with contractors actually being able to?
Yeah, there
take-
was several
their handrails?
contractors had called, and they're having issues getting the actual tri-beam, which nobody's quite sure why, because it is a standard piece of equipment. It's not something especially for our bridge. So hopefully they've had a little bit longer time to contact suppliers, and hopefully everything will be good to go on the 13th.
Good. Yep.
Is there any economic development updates that you could speak of?
Well, I think it's become public knowledge that Shoe Sensations will be moving into the Coffeyville Plaza. We've had a little bit of conversation. I believe I heard November 11th is their target date for opening.
The plaza is located,
Coffeyville Plaza is on the west side of Coffeyville, the current Coffeyville Plaza.
Country Mart.
Country
Is
Mart,
that on
Hibbett
High Street?
Sports.
it's kind of a tricky deal, because I think plaza, I think downtown, but it's not.
Well, that's the name on the sign.
Yes, yes. I'm just clarifying that, so people wouldn't go downtown looking for the shoe store.
Okay. And right now, that's all that I can allude to specifically. I would expect some other announcements in short order.
Can you tell us what the building is there on 8th Street that was in the old Legacy weightlifting building? It looks like some kind of a teen place.
I believe
I'm
that.
not sure what it is. I just saw a stage and lights and.
I believe it's a Christian
Is that what it
outreach.
is? Okay.
Outreach program, yeah.
Okay.
That,
I just saw people working on painting on the windows, and I just didn't know what it was. I hadn't heard anything about it.
and I haven't heard a lot about it. I think one of our local businessmen is
Okay.
involved with that.
Good.
Other questions?
Don't have.
I have a couple comments, questions, and everything in between. Comment. I think it's imperative that we remind everybody that this weekend, like Mr. Faulkner indicated, is Dalton Defenders Day weekend reenactments and things of that nature are all conducted downtown. There's probably several other activities that are going on throughout the community, and it's I'd like to encourage everybody to get out and participate in that, because that's a big deal for our city. The other thing that I'd like to ask is an update from, probably come from Mike Shook, on the issue that we had at our electric plant. I have an idea of what happened, but I think that there was some exploratory surgery, so to speak, that was supposed to happen.
That explains it well, actually.
That was supposed to happen Monday, and we were supposed to have kind of a better idea of what we're looking at.
Yes, Mayor, as you mentioned, we did have an incident on our boiler 5. This is a boiler that we had the actual internal firebox explosion back in 2013. This was not a firebox explosion this time. This was a rupture of a boiler tube. This, we discovered so far one water wall tube had ruptured. When this happened, it actually pressurized the outer casing. We discovered this. We brought in the original contractor that field erected this boiler, completed the repairs after the explosion in 13. They removed some of the outer shell, the outer skin that was damaged, and were able to locate so far one tube that was ruptured. They left today only finding that one tube, so from a boiler standpoint, it's pretty minimal. But by pressurizing the outer liner, it did some additional damage to the outer liner and the skin itself. We did have Chubb insurance inspectors on site yesterday. they indicated that it was a covered claim. But I will mention that we, with our insurance policy, we do have a $100,000 deductible on the equipment itself. We have a 30-day waiting period on loss of business income. I'm hoping to have an estimate from Lock Equipment for repairs as early as Friday, but I'm guessing, just based on discussions today, that we're probably looking at 3 to 4 weeks minimum to make the repair. This unit, we do receive about $84,000 a month off capacity payment off this unit.
Okay. And this unit is set to go offline.
It rolls out of the capacity payment structure January 1st.
Of
2017. Our plan is to then test the waters in the SPP market, which it's currently dispatched in through GRDA. It's still receiving dispatches through GRDA. So we believe there's some revenue to be made from the unit by trying to place it into the market ourselves. We've just not worked out all the details yet. We're kind of partnering with KMEA, Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. They're kind of helping us investigate the processes and see what kind of expenses we would incur.
And once we get up and rolling on the new facility, that will relieve the pressure on these two units over here.
I sure hope so.
Okay.
We're operating these old steam units. They were designed as base load units. We're operating them as peaking units, and that's just not what they were designed to do.
And what that means is you bring them online and leave them online for significant days and hours and months.
That's correct, sir. They were designed to be put online, and the only time you take them down is for scheduled maintenance once every year to 2 years. We're shutting them up. We're starting them up for 12 hours, shutting them down for 12 hours, and it's just having a huge negative impact on the equipment.
Okay. Does that bring any questions from you gentlemen?
No, it's a good explanation.
Thank you. I want to say something about your deal, but I don't want to steal yours.
I'm going to thank a few people.
Okay, then I'm
You
done.
want- You want to go ahead?
No, you got it under, I just didn't want you to not say something about it because it was exciting.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity, as you know, one of my partners sitting out here, Trey Maxon, we have quite a bit of help put on the Coffeyville Street drags. And in the room, Chief Roski was there, went above and beyond. Yeah. Chief Bromley was there, helped out with security. Kendall did a little starting of races himself. Even Mr. Felix there helped out with some internet capabilities out there. I've lost it. Mr. Osborne and Mr. Bradshaw helped improve the area a little bit. It was safer for people that were watching. We weren't face diving into ditches as bad. Even Commissioner Taylor helped out with some equipment. We don't always get along, but you know, he's a good guy. There's many more here in town that help, but these are the guys in the room that helped, and we couldn't have done it without you. And I'm convinced that we were the safest racetrack in America for 8 hours that evening. If anything would have went wrong, there's people all over the place to help out. And we're doing it again April 29th. My scribble's here, I can barely see them. But thank all of you, and hope to see you again next time.
Any tips on barbecuing?
Yes, do not barbecue without telling a lady across the street, because then she'll call the fire department on you. And when all the police officers show up and there's the commissioner standing out there in his shorts and holding a big giant brisket, they're gonna, it's really just a ploy, I think, to try to come eat. Everything thinks what it was. But thanks for showing up. And who do I call now that if I can't get a hold of Grimmett when I'm smoking to get somebody to turn around and go back to the, that'd be you. All right. Thanks, Chris.
One other thing that I'd like to, I'm glad you mentioned that. While we're all here, I don't know what the policy is on the city retirements, but I think that when you retire from the city after, I mean, if you retire, you've spent a significant amount of your life dedicated to public service. And I think that when a person retires, that the city should provide them with a plaque or something in recognition of their service. And I don't know what has happened in the past, but I think that, like I said, I think they're worthy of at least that.
Not trying to steal your show. A while back, when we first started talking about a new standalone facility for the fire and police, I thought it might be a good opportunity to make some kind of a display to recognize people that have gone above and beyond, like Chief Grimmett had for 30 years, and
I concur. I just think that there's needs to be a little bit more something done, because I don't want to go into specifics, but I would think after a long period of time, significantly dedicating your life and your family and all that other stuff, that you get more than a cupcake. That's just the way I feel about it. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Recognition goes a long ways.
But I think that we need to come up with some kind of something. And I look forward to hearing what your ideas are.
I have my crack staff already on that.
Outstanding. That way, when everybody here retires, they'll get a plaque too. I don't have anything further. I would like to note that we are going to request an executive session with our attorney to discuss attorney-client privilege information to proceed at.
We also have a non-elected person.
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
All right.
And to also, we're going to do attorney-client privilege, and then we'll also do, we need to come back, or can we do both at the same?
Oh, why don't you come back?
All right, let's do attorney-client privilege to commence at 7:40 and to end at 7:50 when we will return. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.